Welcome back to another week of Mortgage Matters in Minutes. I'm your host, Brent Rasmussen, owner of Mortgage Specialists. This is a common video and common question we get. What's the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection, and why does it matter? It's a huge conversation whether we use the word assessed value, appraisal, home inspection, contingency, and it does make a difference, just the terminology we're using, whether we're talking to industry professionals or lenders, and how either one of these two items can actually affect a real estate deal and cause major issues in closing on time or closing at all. So let's first talk about what an appraisal is in regards to a real estate and or mortgage transaction. The appraisal itself determines the market's value by an appraiser at that time. So we could get 10 different appraisers and we can get 10 different values, but generally the idea is the appraisal is supposed to show what the house is truly worth. Now let's look at what a home inspection is. That looks at and evaluates the condition of the property, meaning that we're looking at the safety and soundness of that particular property. So those are two different items and two different things, but many times these words get used interchangeably. So who is the appraisal for? Generally, even though the buyer pays for the appraisal justifies to the lender that the house is worth what an individual is willing to pay for. So if you're wanting to buy a house for $300,000, we want to make sure it's worth at least $300,000 because all the loan guidelines and rules are established based upon what the house is valued at. Where if you plan on doing a home inspection, we are going to assume the house is in normal condition. Where a home inspection might find a lot of little things, it also could find big things. And big things generally can cause an individual to not make their mortgage payment if they have to pay for roof, foundation, mold situation before closing. So an appraiser, what does an appraiser look for? They're generally going to be looking for houses like the same one that you're purchasing in the same neighborhood to make sure that those houses are selling at the same, if not higher value than what you're buying your house for. Let me break this down. Let's say you're buying a home for $300,000. Again, they're going to look at that same style of home in your neighborhood to make sure houses are closing and selling for $300,000 or above. And obviously, no two houses generally are exactly the same. So they're going to look at the different houses and make adjustments to saying, okay, this one's bigger, this one's smaller, this has this amenity, this doesn't have this amenity. And at the end of the day, in the appraisal report, it's going to show the differences if we had all variables created equally, what are the values of the different homes. They're also going to look at market trends and location, square footage, what the condition is, what the quality is of the property as well too, to make adjustments a little bit accordingly. Where the home inspection is going to do something completely different. They're not concerned necessarily about the value of the home. They're concerned about what is maybe broken, what might not be working properly, and what could be a cause for a major expense down the road. Our foundations, our roofs, our windows, our furnaces, our air conditioners, those units are the most costly in a home to replace, to remediate, any of those scenarios. So a home inspector's job is to go through and try to find all these things. What we run into many times is home inspections can be daunting and scary and can scare people, but just like a used car, a used home is going to have their nuances that we have to be prepared for as a homeowner. So, real life examples. Yes, we would love every buyer to obtain a home inspection. But as markets change, just like we talked about the last few weeks, whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, the seller may not allow you to have a home inspection just because other buyers are coming in at the time. And that can be a very challenging thing. I've heard lots of people say, I will never buy a home without a home inspection. And I'll say, well, that's a challenging thing to state because you don't get to control what house you're purchasing and whose house you're purchasing, whether they decide what's going on. But I can assure you, if you are going to need a loan, we're going to be getting an appraisal. There are ways around an appraisal, and we've talked about those in the past. Appraisal waivers, if you're putting down more than 20% down, have a great credit score, great low debt to income ratio, perfect scenario. But what we can't control always is the house and where you're purchasing at in regards to that. So we'll see lots of individuals waiving home inspections. It's not required per a lender, but if we're needing an appraisal, if we are able to get that waived, most people do obviously want to waive the appraisal. But as you can see, there's completely differences between an appraisal and a home inspection and when which item is used and what scenario. So let us know if you have any questions in regards to purchasing a home. We're always here to help. We're a phone call away at 402-991-5153 or check us out on our website at mtg-specialists.com. Have a great rest of your week. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable.